All right, it's the Matt Murphy Show, hour number 2, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased you've decided to join us. It is 8 minutes past 4 o'clock. Thank you so much on this Monday. We appreciate you. We've got Representative Scott Cepicky. He just came back from Israel, and we'll have a conversation with Scott coming up just after 5 o'clock about what America's role is in that conflict, if anything, and what the status is from the ground. We'll talk to him once again at 5:05 this afternoon. 6:05, Chris Hand will join us briefly to talk about the event, the incredible memorial service that was the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Arizona yesterday. An incredible day of love and forgiveness. And some fight. I mean, Donald Trump presented a little bit of fight toward the end there, and a lot of people are talking about that conversation. Speaking of Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, along with RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, were at the podium earlier today, and we'll tell you exactly what they discussed regarding issues concerning autism and Tylenol or acetaminophen. And we will discuss that in just a couple of minutes as well. We continue the conversation with our good friend Jason Whitlock of the Fearless podcast. You can find you at fearless.
YouTube.com/Jason Whitlock.
There we go.
Fearless. If you're on Apple, it's Fearless with Jason Whitlock, and that's WHITLOCK.
And there's Jason Whitlock. And we're talking about how we kind of get this country back to a spirit of Christian nationalism. And you and I were talking during the break just a moment ago, and I want to continue the conversation with everyone, that I feel like a combination of factors is I feel like we're watching a sea change in the American youth. And I don't pretend that we don't have to cultivate that and encourage it and push it along down the road, lest frankly, enemies of America wrestle those minds away from us. But I feel like the pendulum is swinging in the right direction. In the aftermath of COVID, with what is going on right now as we speak today with Turning Point USA, a lot of young people feel disillusioned, if not out and out lied to, by the people that were telling them one thing when we find out that it's really very, very different in reality. What do you say?
Yeah, I think COVID gave everybody the permission to question everything because, man, they told us we take this vaccine, it'll stop, and, we're blah, blah, blah. And everybody's well, they lied to us about that. And so now I think with young people, they're questioning everything. The lie of feminism. The oh, this is going to make you so happy. You'll sit inside a cubicle, you'll make this money, you'll be this career woman, and you and your husband will take these spectacular vacations whenever you're not working. And people are starting to figure out, like, man, that's a lie. That I'm not truly content, satisfied, happy, whatever, working nonstop so I can get a bigger house. And so I think men are not young men. I know older men, but many of the older men, we're off in long-term relationships, and people have just made the decision, I just got to put up with this until I get to the finish line. But young people are like, hey, man, this relationship dynamic between men and women is completely out of whack. I can't lead. I'm second-guessed every time I turn around. I'm told that this is a 50-50 partnership, and it just doesn't work that way. Someone has to be the leader, and I think for a lot of young men, they're like, I'm not going to let her lead. She's way too moody, and once a month she gets even moodier. And, she's not a great chess player just in life or even the game. And it's like, I want to lead. This is what I'm here for. And this is why this Charlie Kirk thing has taken on a life of its own and become bigger than what people even thought. Because I think before September 10th, people thought, oh, yeah, Charlie Kirk's a big deal in TPUSA. But in death, they're like, holy cow. Charlie, his life that he was leading, patriarchal, young man, married, beautiful wife, 2 kids, what he was out there promoting. I think there's a lot of young men that's like, man, I like that. And that's what I want to do. And I want to have a woman like Erica Kirk who's willing to stand on national TV and say, hey, women are helpers. And, we're not slaves. We're not just servants, but we are helpers. And I think that appeals to a lot of men. They want women that are more like their mother And they really want women that are more like their grandmother, because that makes more sense than this wrestling match we have. And now with social media, all the truth that corporate media, corporate television won't give you, the movies won't even give you the truth, social media does give you that unvarnished truth. And so I'm going to say something politically incorrect, just a warning, buckle up. This whole Black Queen deal. These Black Queen, they're going to lead the world. They saved America. So there's so many videos on social media. It's like, what world are they saving? Their world is actually in total chaos. Their sons wear hairstyles like women. Their sons walk around with their pants hanging off their rear end. Their sons barely have a 2.0 GPA, can't read at level. What are they queen of exactly? And then there's so many videos of these women behaving so poorly. It's like, this is, and I've said it for years, like Black Americans, we're the lab rats for feminism and the matriarchal culture. And anyone with a brain can look and see, I don't want no parts of that. If that's the matriarchy, if that's what women in control and dominant over men, if that's what it is, I want no parts of that. And women, white liberal women can lie and say, oh, we wouldn't be like that. Well, we got plenty of social media evidence that, yes, you are. Any woman running around telling herself, her friends, the world, I don't need a man, is a woman that's insane. And I know I sound like Archie Bunker and I'm a sexist pig, but it's time to revert to factory settings unless you like these results. And so all these women that are running in and out of an abortion clinic like they're going to the bathroom and killing their babies and don't understand that leaves scars on them emotionally and changes their soul and the way they interact with the world. I feel sorry for you that you haven't figured it out, that there's child sacrifice. There are curses and complications and consequences that come along with that. And these feminist women are dealing with these consequences. This whole death culture that, anytime you're out celebrating Charlie Kirk dying, you should be looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what happened?
I said last week, one of the things that this continues to expose, and it's been exposed for me and probably for you for a long time, is those that claim to be so tolerant are the most intolerant. They have been for a long, long time. And they're now very open about it. And they seem unafraid. And more people are recognizing that those that have claimed to be so tolerant find themselves to be intolerant when there's someone that veers off the reservation just an iota. And they expose themselves, and social media has done more to expose them than I think anything else.
Matt, I don't want to open up a can and then leave here, and then you have to deal with the remains of this chaos that I'm starting. But look, man, and you probably haven't talked about it on this show, but you probably wanted to. This black fatigue thing is real, man. Black people got it. It's like this matriarchal, no man leadership culture is a symbol. It's a big waving sign telling everybody, go the other direction. Don't go this direction. This is insanity. And so all of this, it's not a skin color thing. It's a decision that has been made to live in objection to the strategies, the rules, the advice of God. And so black people, we've walked away from marriage and walked away from the family structure, and we have total chaos in our life. And anybody with a brain can start to see, like, man, this is starting in other cultures as well. As more white liberal women decide they don't want to be married, look how much their kids are going transgender, and they're shooting up schools, and they're introducing all this chaos into the world. Factory settings, guys. I know I sound like an old crazy man.
I love it. I'm
going to ask for security when I go to my car here. But I'm telling you, I'm not wrong.
Well, I mean, I will say this, that you bring up the transgenderism piece, and I think it is a broader discussion than just that. But this is it's a microcosm of what I think is happening in young minds. They're sold a bill of goods that if they just do these certain things that the secular society tells them to do, that they're going to be happy.
Yes.
And they're not. It does not give their soul satisfaction. It does not open their soul to God. And when they discuss, and I truly believe this, Jason, when their brains realize that they have not achieved the happiness that they were promised, it breaks something inside of them, and they resort to lashing out in violence.
Matt, look at the peer pressure that young people are under. And I don't want to turn anybody into a victim, but if you're a young white man and everything your school system is telling you, everything TV is telling you, you're the worst person on the planet. You're the source of every bit of misery that's been experienced in the world. Why wouldn't you say, hey, man, I got to get in one of these victim groups? You know what? If I'm gay, now I'm a victim and I'm not just a white man. If I'm trans, now I'm a victim, I'm not just a white man. If I date outside my race, now I'm not racist. I'm one. And so there's all this peer pressure to do things that aren't really in your best interest. Now, young people should find people they share values with regardless of color and have relationships with them. But you're sitting here talking, I'm being totally transparent. You're sitting here. One of the main reasons I'm unmarried is because if I had gotten married, I was going to marry one of two white women. And I didn't want mixed race kids because I was afraid they would be as nutty as Colin Kaepernick and some of these other mixed race nuts that run around and spend their whole life trying to prove how black they are. And I only wanted kids that would run around and try to prove how Christian they are. But this racial thing that we got going here in America and the way they go, if you're not some former black player with a criminal history, good luck getting a job on a lot of these sports TV shows. I mean, good luck. There's a reason why Shed and Sharp and these guys get picked for these jobs because they're compromised. They have so much corrupt activity in their life that they easily controlled. And this all connects to, it's why I'm telling you got to pursue holiness as it relates to your sexual life, because if you don't, white or black, they're going to compromise you with the dirt that they have on you. You have no secrets anymore because of this internet. They can track. They know what every website you've been on. They know who you're emailing. They know who your sugar baby is. And so they can compromise you if you're not living a righteous life. And that's why so many men are silenced as we watch this insanity go on with young people in our society. So many people are afraid to speak up because they got too many sexual secrets.
You know, you really should call your show Fearless. There's a reason that he calls it Fearless, folks. It's Jason Whitlock. What an incredible hour, man. And by the way, I'm just going to pull the curtain all the way back. Jason did that entire hour with his gum on his wrist. Entire hour, had his gum on his wrist, just popped it back in, and that's a true pro. Jason, we love you, man, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Matt, and everybody. I'm driving a blue Hyundai 1986. Look for me in that.
Yeah, that's
Look
right.
for me in that car.
I thought I was going to give you the dark red GMC truck. I was just going to give you my own. There's Jason Whitlock, 22 after the hour at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Jackson Williams, young J-Dub, J. Willie, Action Jackson. He's behind the glass. We had Jason Whitlock for the better part of the hour. Now you, 615-737-9986, jumping on the phone lines here in just a moment. Just load them up. Any thoughts on that conversation? I love it. I absolutely love the conversation. And just to understand something, folks, I appreciate Jason Whitlock's thinking on this. I don't necessarily agree with some of what he's talking about. But I agree with so much of it. And I think it's compelling in terms of where we are in America today, where we need to be as a society today. The portions on which I disagree just comes from my libertarian background. And Jason and I were laughing about it during the break, and he was like, well, I'm no libertarian. I was like, I know, I get it. I mean, I am more of a libertarian when it comes to where government intercedes with some of these thoughts and where society needs to go. I 100% agree that as a society, we need to get back to Christian thought. Because Christian thought is good whether you're a Christian or not. It benefits everyone whether you're a Christian or not. And our country is big enough and strong enough that we allow those that do not share those values, those Christian values, to coexist and to commingle. I would have some disagreement about where government is in play on some of this, but that's fine. I'm not going to let the little things get in the way of the big things. And the big thing is to get back to that sense of Christian nationalism and not allow, because Christian nationalism to me, and, Jason laid it out what it is to him. To me, it is a spirit of faith. It is the spirit in which this country was born, and it is the basic concepts of the Christian faith that truly present a good, moral, and wholesome society that we should strive to. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily Christian in your faith. The entirety of society benefits as a result of some of the basic concepts and values taught within the church. And that's it. That's it. And that does not mean that the government is a Christian government or a government of a particular faith. Obviously, that's not the case, which is why I might disagree on certain laws and practices. But, those are singular things that we can debate out in due time. Love having Jason on. Love him giving us an opportunity to pick his brain. And I thought it was a really good segment. I hope you did as well. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to comment on it. 615-737-9986. Your call's coming up in a moment. Plus, more on the incredible memorial service that happened yesterday and the news that Jimmy Kimmel is back tomorrow night because it was never about Donald Trump canceling anything. It was never about the FCC canceling anything. And frankly, I think we as a society ought to cancel the FCC. That's where I'm at on all of that. 615-737-9986. Your call's coming up next after the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Open phones right now. 615-737-9986. Anything on your mind? 615-737-9986. Would love to hear from you. Hearing from a lot of you on the super text line, and we'll get to some of those coming up in just a moment. Some of the breaking news. I was sitting here with Jason Whitlock, and we were deep in conversation about Christian nationalism and what that means for Jason. What it means for our country, what it is defined as, and how we move forward as a nation in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and some of the other issues impacting us. So I'm not up on the Tylenol discussion. We were waiting for it. It happened. We were doing the show, so I've not been able to keep up with it. So I'm going to catch up with that and try to update you on exactly what the president said. I know that Ken Weaver's monitoring it over in the newsroom. And on top of that, in the meantime, another breaking news story involving, for what it's worth, Jimmy Kimmel's coming back tomorrow. I don't know that there was any, I'm not surprised. It did not involve me in terms of my viewership habits because I haven't watched late night television in forever. I do believe that companies have to make decisions about how they're going to associate themselves, especially with higher profile personalities when it comes to this type of language used by Kimmel. There is a responsibility for broadcast television, just as there is a responsibility for broadcast radio. I don't know that we're not in an era where the FCC should not be in the content monitoring business anymore. In fact, I would suggest that the FCC should not be in the content monitoring business anymore. The free market is a far better judge of what is and is not appropriate, so long as that content is not rising to the level of endangering the rights or the lives of other people. Does that make sense to everyone? The government never does it as well as the free market. The government should be there to protect the individual rights of others. The government should not be there to tell me what is and is not appropriate from a content perspective, especially when it's political. So, not to disappoint some of you, but I never believed that it was the government's job to intervene with what Jimmy Kimmel said. What Jimmy Kimmel said, was it out of bounds from a moral perspective? Of course it was. Was it out of bounds in terms of the truth? Yes. Did it cross the line in terms of the government stepping in? I don't believe so. Never did. And I never believed that's what happened either. ABC knew that it was about to get its company reamed by America. And so it did something temporarily And I don't know if they always felt like it was temporary or not. But they never said firing. They always said suspension. They always said indefinitely, and who knew what that meant. 2565 says the FCC is supposedly an independent organization. How independent is it really? Well, I mean, it's not independent of the government. It's a government organization. And regardless of whether the government is run by Democrats or Republicans, I don't know that the government should be involved in this type of content moderation anymore. I mean, there was a time where there was print was never covered by the Federal Communications Commission, and it always annoyed me. I mean, there was a time when it used to be a lot worse. This idea of equal time. And then Rush Limbaugh came along, and he proclaimed, I am equal time. And it was always such a great line of Rush's. Right? Because he would declare, people said, well, what about equal time? What about equal time? And Rush would remind folks, no, let's not look in the micro. Let's look in the macro. And in the macro, there's ABC, CBS, NBC, and at the time, CNN. And that was about it. And all of these news publications, these print publications, and all of them were left. Every single one of them were left. Except for Rush and a few others. He's like, what are y'all talking about? That I need to give people equal time. I am equal time. In other words, he was the ballast that equaled and leveled the playing field on his own. Almost on his own. That's why we call him the Godfather. Because he was. Well, now more than ever, we have seen a democratization of values, a democratization of viewpoints. And I don't believe we need the FCC telling us what is and is not appropriate. And look, I understand why the free market would want certain safeguards in place with radio or certain safeguards in place with but television is, is there any such thing as broadcast TV anymore? I mean, in other words, does the average person see any difference between ABC and ESPN? Yet you can say, if they wanted to, on ESPN, they could lay down the F-bomb if they wanted to. And there's no entity wagging their finger telling them they can't. But ABC, owned by the same company, governed, one would think, by the same rules, if they did that, they would be fined by the FCC. When the real arbiter of what is and is not permissible ought to be the public, the general public. 1413 says, Murph, I disagree with you on one simple thing. You said Charlie lost his life. No, he stepped into eternal life. Well, I get that. I understand that. If you feel like I'm speaking improperly when I say that, he lost his earthly life, if that makes you feel any better. Scott writes in and says, according to the left and all of their social media posts, Trump had Kimmel fired. No, that's what I was saying, is that Trump's the worst dictator on the planet. He's the worst fascist ever. Because Trump supposedly had Kimmel fired. Well, I guess wait a minute. So if we play this one out, if it was really Trump behind the firing, which is what CNN told us Friday and all weekend long, I guess it was Thursday and Friday. That's all that we heard about from hashtag never CNN. What a garbage network full of garbage people. Don't watch them. I'll report back. I'll watch so you don't have to. So all weekend long, that's all we heard. All Friday long, all Thursday long, it's all we heard, that Donald Trump did this, the FCC did this, and Donald Trump used his influence, and Donald Trump's a dictator, and Donald Trump killed free speech. And I've read every single one of these stupid editorials that I could find about how Donald Trump's killing free. Well, does Donald Trump then get the credit for reinstating him? Do we applaud Donald Trump? Thank you, President Trump, for allowing Jimmy Kimmel to go back to work. Is that what we're doing right now? Or are we admitting that it was never about Trump? It was always about ABC trying to save their bacon and recognizing that the free market was about to burn that ass. And honestly, if you look at it, I guess you could look at it from one of two perspectives. Either A, ABC, it's a masterstroke because they pleased everybody, or they angered everyone. Because the conservatives were like, finally, ABC got something right. Thank you, ABC. Thank you, Disney Company. And now not so much. Well, 0231, I thought I was 0231 just writes in and says, should the FCC still be around? Should they enforce any type of regulations? I think I was just clear on that, right? No. The FCC should be here to enforce certain rules of the road in terms of equipment, frequency, power. I mean, there are limitations to bandwidth, like on the radio band or on the shortwave band. There are, there's different bands. There's microwave, there's radio waves, there's short waves, there's AM and FM. These are all audio frequencies. And then there's the television band, which operates in that space too. So on broadcast, over-the-air broadcast, whether it's radio or television, I don't think that there's any room for the FCC in the content regulation business anymore. In terms of what they regulate to make sure that, I suppose you could argue that could be handled in civil courts. I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this, but I guess you could argue that, if, let's say, for example, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN, we are the largest allowable FM signal. We have a 100,000-watt radio station that emanates from, I guess our tower's in Hendersonville, technically. So WWTN or WTN 99.7 FM is the largest wattage FM signal that you can find. So the FCC prevents us from cranking that power up. And we could crank it up more. We could go to 150,000 watts, 200,000 watts, but you would blast out other frequencies of a similar type style and on the same part of the dial. And so these regulations, these rules are here to prevent that sort of thing and to allow for fair market coverage. Those things, I suppose, should stay in place. But from a content generation standpoint, I think all of that's over. All right, 615-737-9986. I guess I got nobody that wants to comment on white or Christian nationalism because I opened up the phone lines and nobody called. All right, that's cool. We'll move along. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up just after the top of the hour news with Ken Weaver, we will welcome Scott Cepicky to the program. Scott just got back from a trip, but I don't know if it was a junket. We'll find out. I don't know. I want to use that word properly, if so. I've wanted to use it for a while now. Junket. You know what that means there, young Jackson? Junket?
Nope.
No? Well, you'll find out if it's an appropriate use of the word. By the way, speaking of Jackson, do you want to engage? I feel like on these Mondays and Fridays during football season, we should engage at least in a moment or two of an Action Jackson Sports Minute.
You want to do it now?
If you're willing, I think the audience is ready for what I would refer to as an Action Jackson sport. And I'll give you that. So, Jackson, when I give you the old point, that's right. I give you the old point. An Action Jackson. The old point means it's time for an Action Jackson Sports Minute.
All right, man. I got one thing to say.
Cepicky just broke the chair. Yeah, what's your one thing to say?
The Titans are bad.
You talking about like bad in good or bad in
they're bad, Ken. Oh, Ken, hey, Ken,
No,
those Titans is bad.
They are utterly terrible.
They're bad. Oh, no, they're not. They're just bad.
Titans lose 41 to 21, 44 to 21. My fault.
Yuck. I stopped watching.
I watched it all.
I went back to the memorial service. That was me.
Titans are bad. They just don't. They can't execute in any sense of the word.
Okay, so let's try to break this down, Ken.
Yes, sir.
Ken, me and you, let's talk to the sports guy. You ready?
Yes, sir.
And you just join in here when you're ready.
All right.
Is the offense bad?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
What about the defense?
Bad.
Special teams?
Good.
Oh, good. Coaching.
No comment.
What do you mean no comment?
Not great.
It's the Action Jackson Sports Minute.
Bad.
What do you think it's like in the locker room, Brother Jackson?
Sad. Somebody needs to call their dad. Others are getting real mad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Balls are back.
Wearing plaid? I don't know. How's the Vols doing?
They whooped up on old UAB.
Hey, by the way, thanks a lot, Vols. I can't. Thanks. You give me a gift one week, and then the next week you take it right away because you don't cover.
The Vols giveth and they taketh away.
Man,
the Vols beat UAB 56-27.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that score wrong.
I think you did too. But yeah, look, Cepicky wants you to talk about one thing today.
Oh, Memphis beat Arkansas. Big game. I watched the end of that game.
Oh, what an ugly fumble.
A peanut punch on the goal line and a huge first down from their backup quarterback on a quarterback draw seals it for Memphis to beat Arkansas, their third win over the SEC in 3 tries at home.
4-0 and looking pretty to be the group of 5 right now. Early on.
All my hog friends from Arkansas, they want Pittman gone.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah.
I think by the time Tennessee and Arkansas play in Neyland Stadium later this season, I think Bobby Petrino is going to be the head coach of that football team.
They're going to go down that road again, are they?
I think they are. He is the offensive coordinator over there.
Yeah.
Well, but how many points they score?
Not enough.
Well, I suppose not. By the way, before we get away from the Action Jackson Sports Minute, Chris is demanding that, since we're doing a kind of an around the world, around the state in sports, we've mentioned Tennessee. How's Vandy doing?
Yes.
They beat Georgia State.
Wait, why'd you say it that way? Why'd you say it that way, Jackson, when you said it away?
Because I don't like Vanderbilt.
You know the way you just said it.
I know exactly how I said it.
They beat Georgia State.
They're 4-0.
What?
4-0.
Vols beat UAB, the worst team in the nation. Couldn't cover.
Georgia State is probably equal to UAB.
So Vandy has lost no games?
Vandy has lost no games.
Huh. And Memphis has lost no games?
Memphis has lost no games.
And Tennessee has lost how many games?
1 game.
Huh.
Only one team has played Georgia.
Who's the best program?
It begs the question: who's the best program in the state?
Vols.
Wait a minute. Isn't Memphis undefeated too?
Yeah,
Memphis is.
Yeah.
I believe Tennessee's the only D1 program with a loss right now. No, ETSU played somebody and got their break speed off.
Well, yeah. But we're not talking about the directional schools. We're talking about Memphis, Vandy, and Tennessee.
You got to look out for that Diego Pavia, man.
He'll be playing for another 3 years if he gets his way.
He's going to be undefeated against a one-loss, angry Alabama program.
Hey, can I chime in here real quick?
Yes, Cepicky.
Who's going to be the highest-ranked team at the end of the year, though? Will it be Memphis, Vanderbilt, or Tennessee?
Well, that's a good question.
I'm taking the Vols.
I'm taking Memphis.
Ooh.
Cepicky's taking Memphis. I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs. Was that an option?
No.
I was in the state.
Unless we annex.
Well, I think Tennessee's trying to take Georgia's trying to take Chattanooga back, so maybe we could do a trade. Chattanooga for Athens. Hey, it's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jackson Williams will deliver us the newscast. Actually, Ken Weaver will deliver the newscast. Jackson will deliver us to the newscast. I was just waiting for the music. I don't know. Jackson gets very I don't know what's going on in there.
What's up?
Hey,
You ready to go to break?
just waiting on this music, man.
It's on.
Thank you. Representative Scott Cepicky will tell us all about his visit to the Nation of Israel. That is coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the news.